Oh, this can't be real. I just miss Alex.
Who the f*** is that? We're trying to figure it out.
You gotta think of a good story. Because right now, like my partner said, all this evidence is not adding up, right?
Matthew realizes too late that the detectives already know this wasn't suicide and that he's going down. In the early morning hours of December 16th, 2022, officers from the St. Paul Police Department raced through the chilly Minnesota night to respond to a self-inflicted gunshot wound.
How can I help you?
I got a girl who shot herself in the head.
Or do you think she found any else?
She's beyond.
The deceased 32-year-old Alexandra Pennig was found dead in her apartment's bathroom with a single gunshot wound to the head. It was her boyfriend, 44-year-old nurse practitioner Matthew Ecker, who called 911 and met with the responding officers. As the officers continue to talk with Matthew, everything initially seems to fall into place.
Did she ever hurt herself in the past? That she was going to hurt herself or anything?
About a year ago.
A year ago? What did she do? Where did she pay?
Took an entire bottle of diazepam. She's not the most stable person when she's 20 years old.
Did you guys drink a lot?
She does.
Did you? Did you too?
I mean,
You guys went to 3 bars.
yeah, I had a bit today.
Okay.
And she's had and she drinks a lot. And I did today. And the time with the Valium, it was after. It was after a night of drinking for her. So I know that she's been sad.
Alex's family would later confirm that she had a history of substance abuse and had attempted to overdose a little over a year ago. Officers quickly found 6 bottles of pills in her apartment, as well as several open and empty bottles of alcohol on the kitchen counter. The autopsy would confirm this, determining that Alex had a BCA of 0.22 when she died, which is more than double the legal limit to drive in Minnesota. It would also find that she had varying amounts of at least 6 different prescription drugs in her body at the time of her death. Given the totality of the circumstances, it is logical that a heavily medicated Alex, after an emotional night out drinking, impulsively took her own life. As an officer takes Matthew down to the station so they can take his formal statement, however, things quickly begin to change. At first, it appears the detectives treat Matthew as a witness and potential victim, rather than a suspect. But appearances can be deceiving.
Thanks so much for coming down here to talk with us. That's it. Just because of the situation and everything that is going on, I know you came down here voluntarily. We really appreciate it. I'm gonna read you your Miranda rights. Just we'll go through that. So we'll go through that and then we'll talk about what happened, okay?
Witnesses are not read their Miranda rights. Miranda versus Arizona established that law enforcement must only Mirandize someone when they are being detained and are not free to leave. Matthew may not know it yet, but the detectives are already onto him.
Can you just start from the beginning, tell me what happened tonight?
So, if we start from the beginning, I was on my way to Roseville this morning to work in the ER up there.
Roseville?
Roseville.
Okay.
I got a phone call from Alexandra, at about 9:30.
Morning?
Yep.
Yesterday morning?
Yeah, yesterday
Okay.
morning.
Okay.
Yep. She had sorry. Interview for a job at 1 o'clock. I got to St. Paul about 1:40, so I sat and waited for her to get done with that. About 1:55, 2 o'clock, she let me in, and we just kind of hung out. Had a couple of beers, she had some Prosecco. About 7 o'clock, 7:15 maybe that evening, we just talked. We had,
whatever. Just talked.
Although Matthew insists that he skipped work and drove several hours to do nothing but talk to his secret girlfriend for 5 hours, the detectives clearly aren't buying it.
Left after the drink, and we went and met a friend of hers. Gus. That's how I know him. He's a friend of her boyfriend's, or ex-best friend, I guess, from my understanding. And I cannot remember the name of that bar that we banged. We were there for a while, had one drink, talked with him. And then he had said that her, again, on and off, the boyfriend was at, I want to say, camp, bar. So we went there. And again, it was fine. We walked in, I sat down on one side of the bar, she walked across, sat on the flip side of me, and her boyfriend was here and was there, like he was at the bar. And he had come up, started talking with her, things got a little bit heated. And so I, knowing what had gone on earlier, got up, walked around, and kind of stepped in between them. He punched me, and there was a altercation. I had to fall to the floor. I think a bartender and one of the bouncers pulled him back and kicked him out of the bar. He left, and that was the end of it. We sat for about an hour. And a drink. And then walked home to her place.
CCTV footage appears to confirm Matthew's statement, as does footage of the incident at Camp's bar. That's certainly one way to spend your evening. Back in police headquarters, Matthew picks up where he left off.
After all of this had happened, we went back to then her apartment. Roughly 2 o'clock. Not 32. She went in my backpack, pulled out the gun, and cocked it. And held it to her head, and I started backing up towards the bathroom. And I asked her what she was doing. She said, "Don't come closer, just if you come any closer, I'm gonna pull the trigger." And I was like, okay. And I don't know where this came from. It wasn't, I know there had been some issues with her boyfriend prior to this, but she seemed fine. We were laughing on the way home. Everything was fine. And then I kind of, as she backed up towards her bathroom, I kind of followed her, and she then went in and shut the door and locked it. And I asked her what she was doing in there at the pub. And so, I tried to get in, and my recollection here is that the door was locked. And I laid a shoulder into it after the pop opened the door, and she was just, it was there on the floor. And honestly, it's ridiculous. I have medical training. I know what to do, but in that instance, I didn't know what to do. There's just a hole in her head and blood spewing out. I didn't know what to do. I tried to hold it. I moved the gun, and then when I realized that, like, obviously there's nothing I can do at this point by myself, I got up and for some weird reason washed my hands and then tried to find my phone. I couldn't find my phone, so I found her phone, and that was when I called 911.
Matthew, what were you wearing tonight?
When that incident happened, I was wearing this.
Okay.
The detectives continue to let Matthew tell his story, despite several glaring problems with what he has just said. One important thing to keep in mind is that this matches what he later told officers on the scene.
I tried what I could.
So, and I know that, and I just have to, because I have
Yeah,
a
'cause
medical examiner.
I get it. Like I tried to do what I could,
Okay.
and then I washed my hands. And
Then you wash your hands,
Correct. That's why I don't have anything.
and then you call the police.
This will be problematic for Matthew later, but not for the reason you think. The detectives, knowing there's more to the story, begin probing.
You guys weren't arguing or anything? There's no fight with you two?
Not between us.
You guys didn't get a fight at the bar or anything? Besides
No.
the ex?
I mean, her ex hit me,
Yeah.
and she was pissed at him about that. No, things were great. We walked back from the bar. Things were great. We were laughing. She was happy. This was so out of the blue. I had no idea what she was thinking. Things were fine. It was a good night.
The camera in front of Camp's bar seems to disagree. Though they're clearly inebriated, swaying from side to side, the tension between the two is still palpable as Alex suddenly stops and gets right in Matt's face before continuing to walk. As they get closer to the bar, Matt tries to grab Alex's arm, and she visibly pulls away in disgust. It's impossible to know exactly how their night has been, but that's not the behavior of a happy woman. Several hours later, cameras caught the two walking into her apartment building. Matthew's shrug here, as Alex moves off camera, indicates once again that something might not be right. For now, however, the detectives take Matt's story at face value and continue the interrogation.
Let's just rewind a little bit.
Yeah.
Tell me about your guys' relationship, you and Alex.
Yeah. It's been ongoing for about 2 years. I'm married, obviously. Not to her. She was a nurse at the clinic that I worked at
Where was that at?
first.
In Fergus also?
I guess an or there. And we had kind of a physical relationship to start with, and then things kind of escalated. She moved to Arizona, and we kept in touch. I went out to visit her. I visited her a couple times. And then in end of July, beginning of August of this year, she decided that she wanted to move back to Minnesota. So I flew down there, right to the truck, took her back. And yeah, our relationship is not something I'm proud of from that standpoint, but I care about her.
Okay.
I really do.
Yeah. Did she know about that you were married?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was absolutely known from the get-go.
You might be wondering how Matthew was able to fly down to Arizona and drive a U-Haul across the country with a young, attractive nurse without his wife putting two and two together. We wondered the same thing. It seems the detectives have plenty of questions themselves.
And you said when you guys went to the bar, you guys sat on opposite ends of the bar,
To start with, because her boyfriend was there.
but you guys knew that her boyfriend was there in the first place.
Yeah.
So why did you guys go there?
She didn't want, I don't know.
Yeah.
She wanted to. She's
Show you off
the kind of person that ruffles feathers.
Yeah. Okay.
And I sat on the opposite end because I didn't. She told me to sit there. We didn't want to do anything real crazy to when she went around and he came over and they started arguing. Then I came around and kind of jumped in between them this time. Because I mean,
What time was that at, do you think?
12:30.
So at some point, were you gonna go sit next to her at the bar? I guess I'm kind of confused.
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
initially, the second they started, I would have absolutely
Okay.
gone over there at some point. But the second they started talking and he was getting himself through, then I went over and stood in between them.
Yeah.
That's when at least from what I understand, talking to people, he hit me because I don't really remember much of it. I just kind of woke up on the floor.
And then you guys just walked home?
As strange as the situation is, the detectives and Matt have had a calm and pleasant conversation up to this point. That's all about to change as the detectives start to gradually turn up the heat.
So,
I think that's just this.
Matthew, let me just ask you this, and
Yeah.
I'm not judging
Yeah.
by any means, but did she ever, what's the word I'm looking for, want to tell your wife? Like, did you guys fight about that ever? Do you have how many kids?
4.
4 kids? What are they ages now?
15, 12, 9, 5. Wow. So, yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, no, we had never had any significant arguments with that. I've been open with her, I've been honest with her. She has been open and honest with me. We understand our relationship. This is not, I know how this looks.
I'm not judging you by any means.
I know you're not. They're just, I loved her, she loved me.
Be that as it may, this father of 4's story about what happened that night is about to come crashing down. After letting him sit in silence for a half an hour, the detectives return and take the offensive.
Yeah, well, understandable. The reason why we are asking about the timeline so much, and you know, you're a doctor, the blood in around her on the toilet in the sink was dry already
Okay.
when the police got there. So we're wondering, maybe is the timeline maybe just a little bit off? Because I mean, you know, as a doctor that blood doesn't dry that quick and doesn't start flaking or anything. And by the time the police officers arrived, they noticed that it was dried already. And
Yeah, I mean, it's possible that I got up and went out and then came back and then went out again. I mean, it was not long. It was not long. I'm gonna be honest, I just, despite all of the training that I have, I didn't know what to do. It's a lot easier when it's not. It's just,
I mean, you think it's possible you maybe passed out at all?
it wasn't, I don't think it would have been that long.
Because that blood was starting to coagulate. as
It
well.
was okay. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I may have gone, it's possible that I went out to try to find a phone and then came back and then was doing stuff and then went out to get the phone again. And I mean, I don't think I passed out at all that I remember. Pretty sure I didn't. But it wasn't long. I mean, it was not long. It was not a long amount of time.
The blows keep landing. Remember how earlier in the interrogation, Matthew said he moved the gun to try to render aid? Where he moved it is quite telling, to say the least.
you took the gun before you did this. Put your hand on her. You took the gun and put it on her chest, correct? Okay. And then, I guess you put the gun on her chest, but then when the police showed up, her hand was back on the gun.
It was back on the gun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't mind.
Did you maybe before you got up and washed your hands and went to grab a phone? Maybe you grabbed her hand and put it back on the gun.
I know I was trying to move her around a little.
Okay.
It's possible that I moved her hand over there.
Okay.
It's possible.
Okay.
The location of the gun and the fact that he moved her hand are just the tip of the iceberg.
And you're a doctor.
Yeah.
Okay, we do the same thing. We wear gloves, right? So we don't get blood on our hands or anything.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I have nails. He has horrible fingernails. I have nails where I get blood in my nails, right?
Yeah.
So you have your head like this with her. You're going to get blood everywhere, correct?
I would think so.
And then you grab her hand and you put her hand back down by the gun, and her hand is completely clean. Her hand looks like my hands. There's no blood on her hand.
I can't explain that. I can't.
It's not just her hand that was clean. The firearm itself had no blood on it, with one investigator later remarking that it was remarkably clean. Despite all these inconsistencies, Matthew, despite getting visibly agitated and worried, doesn't change his story. The female detective tries a different angle, offering an alternative explanation of what happened.
This is just what I'm going to say to you.
Yeah.
And just because I'm about her age right now. So this is just me thinking, you guys had drinks.
Mm-hmm.
You guys started drinking at 2, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got punched. You got humiliated in front of people at this bar, right?
I didn't care about that.
And then you guys go back and you guys start arguing, and she knows where this gun is of yours.
Oh, we didn't argue.
But this is just me. Let's just act like I was kind of what I'm kind of getting out of it, because again, I'm about her age. You guys get in an argument, and she knows where that gun is, so she pulls that gun, and she's pointing it at you because she's pissed because you're married. You have 4 kids. You're never leaving your wife. You've made that clear to her because you've already told us that you guys, she knows. And you're not going to leave your wife for her. And she gets upset because she has to be with this Shane guy and not you, who's this professional doctor who's great at his job, and she points this gun at you. And in self-defense, you guys are in the bathroom with this gun, and in self-defense, you grab the gun and it accidentally goes off.
Oh my God, no. She locked.
Getting nowhere, she starts to poke even more holes in his story.
Have you done surgeries before?
No.
Okay. So, when you get blood all over your hands and then you go to the sink and you...
Yeah.
Or the handle to the sink, right? There should be blood on that.
There should be blood, yeah.
There's no
blood in the handle of the sink.
And there's nothing in the sink, and the sink
I rinsed my hand.
The sink's dry. There's no water or anything.
No, I washed my hands in the sink. I did. I rinsed my hands in the sink.
Okay.
Despite telling officers on the scene that he washed his hands in the bathroom, there's no blood on the faucet handles, and there's no watery blood in the sink. Everything is completely and totally dry. Again, Matthew has no answer, but he sticks to his guns. At this point, the interrogation continues to go around in circles, until finally, the older male detective lets Matthew know that they know he's not telling the truth.
Just hear me out a sec.
Yeah.
I've been doing this a long time, and so is my partner. And just like how you know that the job that you do, you're able to know things by your training, by your experience, all that, okay? Same with us. So what we do is we try to follow we always look at these cases and where does the evidence take us, okay? So we come into these with an open mind and just try to follow what we see, what we're hearing, what you tell the cops, what the evidence shows, right? I think you're a good guy. I really do. I think you got a family, you got kids. I still think you're a good guy. You were trying to do the right thing. But you have to hear me out and hear my partner out here. You need to think for a second, because she's just giving you a little bit of what we see here so far. I mean, here's a girl that's right-handed, that takes a gun left-handed, that knows that there's not one in the chamber, so she cocks one in, puts one in the chamber, right?
Yeah.
You're not coming near her because she's got a gun to her head, but then she goes in the bathroom, really doesn't even need to lock the door because she tells you, don't come near me with this gun, right?
Yeah.
I'm just telling you, evidence-wise, the blood in there was dried for quite some time. I go to a lot of these scenes, and I've been doing hundreds of them, and so is my partner, and I'm telling you, what I'm trying to do, and give it, this is like, because how old are you?
44.
44. We're a little bit closer in age than my partner is. You still have your whole life ahead of you.
I know.
But I'm trying to give you an opportunity to tell us what really happened there, because right now, I'm telling you right now, Matthew, like I said, the evidence clearly shows what you're saying is not what happened. Okay? I'm a very straight up person, and I would be straight up with you, and that's why my partner said, hey, was there a fight? Did she point this gun at you? Were you struggling over it?
She didn't.
Matthew, I'm just telling you right now.
I know.
I examined that gun, and I've been to hundreds of suicides, okay? I examined that gun closely. The ME does an autopsy, which we'll do today.
Mm-hmm.
They determine close contact, they determine far contact, all of that, okay? They can tell if it's a close contact. Simple things like the recoil spring going off in the head, okay? Nothing is adding up there. And then like my partner says, you end up putting her hand back on the gun, which is not something that's normal.
No, I don't think anything that I did was normal. I don't know what normal is in that situation. I'm going to be honest with you.
No dice. Matthew still stands by his story, likely frustrated, or possibly looking to see if forensic has uncovered any other evidence they can use to coax Matthew toward the truth. The detectives step out for 15 minutes. As soon as they return, Matthew's story suddenly changes.
So, the change that I have, and I was scared. After this had happened, and I maintained that the shot went off behind a closed door, I was not in the bathroom when that went off. I will maintain that until the day I die. I did take the gun and I put it in my suitcase. I got scared for a second. I didn't know what was going on. I took the gun. I may have put it in the holster, and I don't remember if I did or not. I put it in the suitcase, went back, looked to her, and said, yep. Went back to the suitcase, grabbed the gun, and put it back there. I don't know what my plan was there. I don't know what I was thinking. I got scared for a second, but that is what I did.
Did you clean the gun off?
I did not clean the gun off.
So there's gonna be blood inside the holster and blood inside the suitcase?
There should be. If there was blood on the gun, there should be. That's all. I didn't clean the gun off.
There was no blood found in the holster because it was not in his suitcase or his backpack. Instead, the holster was found on the kitchen counter, clean as can be. There was also no blood found on the clothes in his suitcase, meaning that either A, he cleaned the gun before he put it back in his suitcase, or B, this is just another lie meant to try to confuse the detectives. Either way, this final alteration to his story does nothing to change the situation. Just before the detectives terminate the interview, Matthew once again insists that he did nothing wrong. Can't the door prove his innocence?
I heard the gun go off, and that's when I opened the door. I mean, was that door locked? Is there damage to the jamb? Is there anything? I laid a shoulder into the door to open it.
To be honest, Matthew, the one thing that I'm not really concerned about the door.
Ironically, it was the door that ultimately sealed his fate. After the interrogation ends, investigators move Alex's body and find a piece of the door's lock, ostensibly broken off when Matthew battered down the door. The fact that this was found underneath her body means that the door was forced open before she died. Not knowing this, the detectives still give Matthew the chance to come clean.
And you're going to stick to that same story that that door was closed, even though you're looking at your 4 kids, you're looking at your wife, and you're telling me when you're looking at these 4 adorable kids and this wife, you're still saying that you love Alex. Well then,
Of course I do.
I don't know what else to. I don't know what else.
But you're with the story you're going, you look at your family, you're looking at life in prison compared to give us what happened. Could easily explain something that happened to maybe, who knows, no time, based on what the story you tell us. I don't know. But the story you're giving us right now, I'm telling you right now, dude,
I don't have a story.
Well, remember, you told us you didn't have a story, and then you knocked on the door and we came back
Yes.
and told us about the gun.
That was a change. That was the only change. That's the only thing that I did. I was scared, and that was stupid, and I get it. That was
I
dumb.
wouldn't you have told us that right away, though?
I was scared.
I'm
scared now.
Even after you figured it out, after you realized I better put the gun back, do you think that would have been something you wanted to tell the homicide investigators right away?
I'm sorry.
Matthew Ecker would be found guilty of second-degree murder by a jury of his peers and was sentenced to 30 years in prison. Matthew's lawyers immediately appealed the conviction, which was upheld on April 21, 2025. He still maintains that the door was closed when the gun went off and that Alex shot herself.